I'm never gonna look back, cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm back with another interview, and we've got probably the man you've all been waiting for, Alex Desire. You've seen a few of his clips on our channel, the outrageous stuff he does, which we'll get into. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Alex, I think let's talk about the last match you were in. Let's start it off with that. You were in the Fatal 4-Way, was initially a Fatal 5-Way, at WrestleMonster. What's it like being in a match with 4 people at the same time, or in your case, 3 other people, and fighting for a flag?
It's different. It's something that I've never heard of before. Obviously, everyone knows flag on a pole, right? But like on the one corner of the ring, you know. So I think that's what we were all expecting. And then CPW said they want to do it a bit different, which I welcomed. Obviously, you know. I think different is cool. It was different, but yeah, I enjoyed it actually. It was a fun experience. You know, because no one's really ever done it like that, like going up a stage trying to grab a flag. It was a lot of fun because we got to work all around the ring. I got to jump off the stage set, which was quite cool. So yeah, that was fun. And yeah, a multi-man match is also, it's interesting. Sometimes it can be a lot of fun. Sometimes it can be challenging, you know, to work with multiple people, because I mean, it's easy to work well with someone who, you know, like an individual person, or chat with them, you know. But sure. I mean, when there's a lot of people, you got to consider everyone. There's a lot to think about, so your mind is a lot busier, you know, and you're thinking on behalf of other people as well.
I can imagine.
But fun otherwise, overall. Yeah,
that's good. I mean, you alluded to you jumping off the stage, and the last time I saw you live, besides the training sessions, but the last event I saw you live, you jumped off a ladder. I don't even know how tall that ladder was. Okay, I'll play the clip, but that's all. That ladder was insanely high. You went for a swanton bomb onto Zizou. You missed. What? Why do you do these sort of things, Alex? Why?
Man, what did you go home remembering that day?
Definitely that. There was 2 spots. It was that spot, and then your dive to the outside while Zizou was holding the ladder, and then you got some color as well.
Yeah, knocked over the whole railing. Yeah. That was cool. I was actually more look, guys, for all of those who are watching, wrestlers, I think we get afraid. I think I can speak on behalf of both of us. I mean, all of us. If you other wrestlers don't get afraid, sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but I was scared for that suicide dive, because I planned, like, I knew I don't just want to do a suicide dive, you know. I wanted to like smash everything over, and I told Ziza, I was like, hey man, I'm gonna come at you, just, you know. So like I got the camera crew and stuff. I was like, guys, listen, when you that side of the ring, when you see me doing this, just please tell the crowd to step back, because I didn't want to like hurt an old lady or something, you know.
Of course.
I'm a considerate guy. So yeah. So that was cool. I really enjoyed that spot. And then yeah, the ladder jump, it's just, I like to try do stuff that people can go home remembering, you know. And I know sometimes it may come across as a bit reckless. I do get that, and I do feel that as well. So I'll be 100% honest. I haven't been in a wrestling ring since Port Elizabeth, since WrestleMonster. So like I've been at a break now for about a month, and I think it's been good to my body. You know, I've never really taken a bit of a break. So all this stuff where it's like stealing the show, if you want to call it that, I'm just trying to grab attention, you know. But I think I got to start to be a bit more careful. So when, like, if we go back to the thing where I used to wrestle in my first year, there was like no gimmick. It was just me with a name, just wrestling, you know. And I was trying to put everything into the moves, and there was no gimmick to anything. So it was like, cool, this guy can wrestle, but there's no gimmick. And then I started to do the whole Alex Desire thing, which I think has really worked out well. And I've noticed I've had to do a bit less of these crazy things, you know, like a bit less high flying. I love high flying, don't get me wrong, but I like to wrestle, you know, like actually be able to wrestle all styles. Like if I work loudmouth, I want to be able to do the same moves he can do. I want to be able to pick him up. I want to be able to slam him, you know. I don't want to just be this guy who's flying around the whole time.
Exactly.
No disrespect to that, because I'm one of them as well. But I mean,
I think
yeah. So then I picked up the gimmick, and then I've had to do less of these crazy things. I mean, except that show in December, it was a ladder match. I mean, I had to. That was fun for me. It's an opportunity to do some crazy stuff. So, but yeah, I've tried to tone it down as much as I can. Like maybe in one match, I'll do like one crazy spot instead of three. Like yeah. Sorry, that's basically it.
I think versatility is very important, which I think you acknowledging that. And when you do a spot like that, if you don't do it every single time, I think it just makes it that much more important when you do it like once every however many times. And I think your versatility really sets you apart, because you can do the high flying, you can do the crazy spots, you can wrestle. Like you say, you want to be able to pick up loudmouth and stuff like that. And I think it really sets you apart from the rest, if I'm being honest. And when we left that event, even though PJ Black was there, at the end of the day, me and BeanieBoy were thinking, Alex Desire stole the show. Like, over PJ Black, that's really something. That's really something.
Man, that humbles me. Thank you. I feel shy now.
Now,
but yeah, bro. No, that's always the intention, But I'm grateful for that. So thank you. That's saying a lot. Thanks.
Now, obviously, we got the Arnolds coming up, and there's a tournament taking place at the Arnolds, and I think that's where your versatility is going to have to come into play, because obviously there's certain number of matches. I think it's a total of 3 or 4 matches once you get to the final, or if you get to the final. Now, are you prepared to have 3 or 4 matches in 2 days, considering you said you haven't wrestled since WrestleMonster 5, which was a couple of weeks ago?
This is the thing, saying that I have actually, I got a bit of a fright actually at the beginning of this week. I realized, man, I've been taking it easy, like just resting my body, and then I realized Arnold's is 2 weeks away. So, I think I'm hoping that won't play a part. But yeah, man, I think it's just it's a thing of muscle memory. Once you get in there, it feels like home, and you can just like go. So for me, whether I'm wrestling 1 match, whether I'm wrestling 5, I'm just gonna try and have fun, because that's the best part of wrestling for me. It's just being in that ring, having as much fun as possible. And for me, that's when you wrestle the best, is when you're having fun. Like when you're all stressed out and stuff. Like I still get the butterfly feeling, but when you're like too stressed and you're not focused on enjoying your time, for me, you don't perform as well. So I'm hoping for the best at Arnold's. I'm just going to try and have fun. Obviously, the intention to win the whole thing. But yeah, I have a good feeling that things will go well.
You say that you like to have fun in the ring, and I think you can really see when a person is enjoying themselves and when they're thinking about what their next thing is. Like when they're thinking about what they're going to do next, you can kind of see that. But when you're just going out there, having fun, enjoying yourself, you can really see it, and I think it really shows in your work.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, I try.
So, you've obviously been the developmental champion for a while. I think you've held it more than once, if I'm correct. I might be wrong in that.
3 times.
3 times.
3
and
times,
you're still the current developmental champion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, there's tryouts at the Arnolds. And being the developmental champion, I'm sure you've got a certain responsibility when it comes to these tryouts. Now, what do you have to say for the people that actually want to try out, or the people that are thinking about coming to tryouts at the Arnolds?
I think, look, Alex Desire is a bit of an arrogant guy, like character-wise. But me as a real person, I'm a really nice guy. I like to think. I hope so. But if I'm going to be straight up, if you're going to come for the tryout, don't come for the tryout just to be like, hey, I want to try out wrestling. I think you have to have, in order to do well in this business, I think you have to have a love for it. You have to have a passion for wrestling, because, man, I don't know. It's difficult to say. You can see when people walk in there for the wrong reasons, and you're like, why are you even here, man? I've been giving my life to this, like literally. And then someone just walks in and is like, hey, I wanna wrestle because I think I can do it. I think it's what you get a whole bunch of stories. So I think if you're a fan of wrestling, please come and try out. If you don't give a damn about wrestling, don't come. And then, I think, I'm not going to say if you're athletic, come. If you're not athletic, come. Whatever you are, just come through. If you feel like you have a shot at making it, that's cool. If you want to have fun and try out because you enjoy wrestling, then please do come. You know, like we're all there to learn, we're all there to have an experience, you know, and I think it'll be a really cool experience for anyone who shows up. Like I know of a guy, such an awesome guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I think, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest wrestling fans in South Africa. His name is shout out to him, Roy Pariachi, and he's at every single show that he can be at, and he's just such a cool guy. He makes all the wrestlers gifts and stuff like that. Like I have so many banners here in my cupboard actually, like of just like Alex Desire banners that he's made. But like I'm talking the size of a bed.
I think I saw that banner at at Wrestle Madness. You were holding it up. Okay, yeah, I saw that.
Yes, and it's like every time he sees me, he gives me something, and not only me, but so many of the other guys. And for someone like him, he's such a massive wrestling fan. And when these tryouts were there, last year at the Arnold's, he participated, not necessarily thinking that, hey, I'm going to start wrestling, but it was just such a cool experience for him, you know. So, like, I think the main thing, if I had to narrow it down, I know I'm saying a lot here, but I think just if you're a fan of wrestling, then hey, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying it.
I think it's good for fans of wrestling, like the real hardcore fans, to give it a try at some point in their life.
Yeah, it feels.
It gives you like an appreciation for the wrestlers, because I mean, you jumping off 20-foot ladders, and we out here being like,
and that stuff hurt.
Exactly, and I think it gives us fans a sense of appreciation for you guys, and takes us back from all the complaining, because wrestling fans like to complain. Nothing's ever good enough for wrestling fans, and start to appreciate what you guys do.
Yeah, no, and if there's any crowd that's the most critical crowd I've ever come across in my whole life, it is wrestling. I mean,
for sure.
Not just in South Africa, but the whole world. Like, I mean, one day someone can love you, the next day they hate you. It's
fickle.
Then one day you did something fantastic, then the one day you're like, hey, you botched that, you suck. I'm
exactly.
like, hey, man, I made one mistake out of 1,000, you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, it makes it fun. It makes it fun.
For sure. I mean, you actually taught me how to take a bump. I'm going to put this in inverted commas, because that was probably the worst bump anyone has ever taken in that ring. But
hey, man, no, I don't think so. You should see some other people.
I was instantly like, yeah, okay, I appreciate this, but it's not for me. I'll be behind the camera here. I'll stick to doing the interviews, because it's hard work. It's hard work.
Yeah, no, man, and honestly, like, shout out to you and your team for doing what you guys are doing, because you're contributing so much to the whole wrestling scene in South Africa. Like, not just like individual companies. I know there's lots of division and stuff in South Africa, but you guys are really making it one. You know, like, you're putting in that work to actually put South African wrestling on the map. You know, and you're working with everyone. So I think you're contributing a lot more than even some of the wrestlers themselves. You know. So, like, there's a place for everyone if you're a wrestling fan, you know. I mean, just to be a fan, that's awesome. You're contributing to the business, and I think what you're doing is awesome. So,
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying. Yeah. That's our motive. We want to get South African wrestling up top, because I think it's been quiet for quite a long time, and we're really trying to push it up there. But I mean, we can't do that without you guys. You guys are risking it all, risking your bodies every week. So we thank you guys rather than looking at us. So here's a question that might ruffle a few feathers here. Okay. You've obviously been the developmental champion 3 times, like you said. You're the current developmental champion. Do you not think that you have outgrown this title?
You know, I think this is a sensitive one, like you said, but I like it. I like the question. I think more so than outgrowing it, I think I've maybe, and I hope I've got to be careful how I say this, but I think I've added quite a bit of prestige to it, you know. I mean, there's people like myself and Zizou, out of all people, who, I mean, and I don't know if you guys know his story, like how he's been in Ring of Honor for so many years when he was in the States, and he's someone who I really look up to, and I think he's such a good worker. Like, I can't put it in words. He's so much fun to work with, you know. Like, that's what I'm talking about, having fun in the ring. He's so much fun to work with. Like, and his dad, oh man, Terry Madu, so cool to work with. But yeah, man, so I think like people like myself and him having a ladder match in December, our biggest show of the year, last year, myself and him, we were co-main event with PJ Black and Ananzi. I think that says something like, because I like to think myself as not a massive name in South African wrestling. I don't want to say anything, but a decently big name. And I think Zizou is really up there as well. And for us to be having I think, match of the night on that night, a ladder match for that title, I feel like that title seemed like probably maybe the most important thing on that night. Like it was just. So I think maybe the people who've worked around that title lately and the storylines that we've put into it, because we've really put some of the best storytelling, especially towards the end of last year, towards that title. Like it's all circled around, like I was champion at a point, and then Zizou won it from me at one show, and then we had a big show with the McLaren Circus. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Saw that, yeah.
And he had a Nunzi there, and then the whole storyline, like we were all linked and stuff, and it led, and we had a following. Like the same crowd came to like these 4 shows in a row, and they knew what was happening. And they were so invested into the story. Like it was just so cool, especially on Wrestle Madness in December. Like everyone who was there knew this is Alex Desire, this is his situation, this is Zizou with his dad, this is their situation. They know what's going on. So I think it felt so special to have people like following what's going on, instead of like, very often when shows happen in South Africa, you do a show in a certain area and not everyone knows necessarily, hey, who's this guy? What's his backstory? They just see you and they just enjoy the show, But it felt so cool to just have people like there because they wanted to be there to conclude the story that they knew was happening. So I think the title was circulated and involved with some very big names, even Anansi himself. I think it gave it some prestige. So, like I take pride in being a performance champion. I think it's something that is close to my heart, Would I like to level up? Sure, I would. But I would treat that opportunity exactly the same as the one I have right now.
For sure.
Performance title. It's no less special to me. But do I want to grow? Yes, I do. Do I feel like I'm ready for it? Yes, I do. But yeah, it would be no less special to me than what it was when I won the performance title the first time. Because we work hard for that. That's like if you want to call it the workhorse title.
Suppose so.
I think it's right to call it that.
I wasn't trying to downplay that title. I just think...
No, not at all, bro.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying, I suppose you've done well in removing the title from its name. So it's not necessarily the performance, developmental, whatever you want to call it, title. It's kind of like the workhorse title, like you just said. So I think you and others have done really well in making it something special. So I commend you on that, that's for sure.
No, thanks, bro. Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal. We all want to grow.
Now, obviously, you mentioned, do you want to go for other titles? You said, of course. Now, obviously, the winner of this tournament at the Arnold's gets a shot at the current champion, who's Mr. Wrestling. But that could change because Anansi still got his shot down the line. That's not happening at the Arnold's. But if you had to win the tournament at the end of the day, and you had a choice of facing Mr. Wrestling or someone who you faced several times, Anansi, who are you picking at that point?
I think it would be really interesting to work Mr. Wrestling. I've never got to work with him except one special occasion, which I don't know how many people will know this, but I will spill the beans. We did a Chicken Licken advert like 3 years ago. And myself and him, we got selected to do that advert. And that was a really fun day. It was literally just us. I think we went to the Standard Bank Arena. It was like a big production thing, and we spent about 9 hours that day filming. And in the advert, they only used like literally 1 second, of us. So it was basically, we did this whole sequence in the ring, and it ended with him giving me a suplex over the apron, over the ropes, through a table on the outside. And we did that. I went through a table 13 times that day, and they ended up using like the second take, I think. But yeah. That was a lot of fun with him. Like, we really enjoyed it, and that's like a memory I think special to the both of us. So yeah, I've never got to work him in an actual match. So I'd love to do that. There's a lot of history with myself and Anansi. I think we've also told a couple great stories. I think towards the end of 2021, similar to how last year myself and Zizou, we had like a really interesting rivalry towards the end of the year. Myself and Anansi had that towards the end of 2021, and I really enjoyed that. I think we told some really cool stories there as well. And I got to say, like in my wrestling career, I think what gave me that like bump up, is getting to work with people like Anansi. I mean, I see it as him that he gave me a shot, and I took the shot, and I believe that when I was given that shot, I believe I did it well. I think I did achieve what was expected of me. So I'm proud of that, but I couldn't have done it if I never got the opportunity. So I'm very grateful to him for that. So I am always open to working with him, whether it's any day. Like I'll have, even that we've probably had like 10 matches already, but I'll have another one. That's no problem. So I'm ready to visit memory lane or whatever you call it. But I'm ready to face Mr. Wrestling if necessary. I think it would be maybe cool to face Mr. Wrestling because I don't know how much time he has left. He's still growing strong, but he's growing old.
For sure.
Sorry,
for sure.
saying that. But yeah, so before he hangs up his boots, I'd love an opportunity to say that I've got to work with him in the ring. Because I think he's an awesome guy.
For sure, I think you guys could tell a good story if you and Mr. Wrestling went for that title. The old head, that for lack of a better word, and then the young guy Alex Desire, who was or is depending on which stage in your career this is, but the former or the current developmental champion against the CPW champion. I mean, it would be a good story. Who comes out on top? We'll have to wait and see when that time comes. I'm not gonna say it's here on camera. Like I gotta keep level. I gotta keep balance. We know what I'm thinking. You know exactly what I'm thinking. Now I got two more questions from you before we go. Loudmouth, I don't know if you watched the last interview with me and Loudmouth, but basically to give some backstory, on Twitter, I was busy promoting the events coming up. Someone was asking about South African wrestlers, and I threw your name out there. I told them go check you out. You're very good. Blah blah blah. And then Loudmouth said they should check him out because Alex is a dunce. Got no idea what the word dunce means. That's one of Loudmouth's many phrases. And then I confronted him about it in the interview. And I said, maybe you guys could meet in the ring at the Arnold's. He started saying he was injured, blah, blah, blah. I think it was more not wanting to face you. And he was saying, but he could defeat you even if he was in a wheelchair. What do you have to say about that? It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in.
Man, I'm sure everybody watching this and that he is quite a character, but a cool character.
Oh, for sure.
I love the guy personally. I think he's cool. To regards to the wheelchair, okay, whatever he says, cool, no problem. But when we're in the ring, I've had 2 matches with him before, and they are 2 of my favorite matches. They really stand out to me, especially one we did a CPW show at, I believe it was the Palm Continental Hotel. And that match, like whenever people ask me, hey, you're a wrestler, can I see some of your stuff? Yes, I'll show them all of the ladder stuff and whatever, all the cool spots. But if they ask, can I see like a match, like one of the first matches I'll send them, like I send them lots of matches, like myself and Anansi, myself and Matthew, a lot of people, but I love sending the match with myself and Don of that show, because I think just story-wise, wrestling-wise, just everything, I think it's probably one of my favorite matches. So I love working with him in the ring. All the smack talk is fun, especially in the ring. Like, I'm sure people have said this before, other wrestlers, but something that's so fun and it makes it so special for the boys, like in the ring, is like when you're in there together, like sometimes you're throwing jokes at each other and whatever. And like, I love when I wrestle him, because like while I'm like picking him up in like a front headlock, I'll like start singing to him. And then he'll like say something stupid also to me. That's just fun, Nice. I'm not breaking kayfabe yet too much. But yeah, hey man, wrestling is real. People are fake. But yeah, man, whatever smack talk he's talking, bring it, man. Let's go. The Arnolds.
I mean, he's not called the Loudmouth for no reason. If we're being honest,
100%.
He's a Loudmouth. We know this, but he's recently lost his title, so he's a little bit vulnerable. I think his heart's a bit sore still. So we'll let him have the smack talk. Now, the last question. You obviously, we saw you put out your little video package, or whatever you call it, to WWE for the tryouts that are happening, or that were supposed to happen, but it seems like they've been pushed to later dates. If I've got my
Yeah.
behind the scenes knowledge correct, it's been pushed to a further date because they haven't really announced anything. Do you know anything about that? Are you still waiting to hear something back? Or is this
I'm
hush
just
hush?
joking.
No, if it's hush hush, keep
No,
it hush. I got no problems.
no, it's man. If even if it was hush hush and something like that happened, I couldn't keep it hush hush. I mean, that is something.
For sure.
It's like, yo, man. I don't know. So I haven't heard anything like right now. I can give people the story.
Go
Is
for it.
that I believe original closing dates for the applications were 18th of December last year. So I applied it sometime in November, and then after applications closed on the 18th of December, then in the first 2 weeks of January, actually, I got a email from the agency that was dealing with the tryouts. So, man, that felt like I won the lotto. I was like, wow, this is it. I made it. And then they followed up with some more info. They asked for stuff like your Instagram and where do you stay, how old you are, basically everything you said in the video, but they like just confirming it basically. And then, like I said, they asked for my Instagram. As soon as they asked for my Instagram, I just went and I posted so much stuff on Instagram just so my work is there. But yeah, and then after that, I didn't hear anything. And then I got another email, like, let's say a month later, probably in February sometime. And I was like, yo, this must be it. Because the original tryouts, I think, were supposed to be in Nigeria on the 22nd of Feb. And then they said, sorry, applications have been postponed first to the end of January and now to the end of April. So I was like, okay, cool, no problem. I sent in an extra application video just in case, And then, yeah, it was supposed to close at the end of April is when applications are supposed to close. But I've been chatting to a lot of people. I'm chatting to this one guy from Ghana as well, where he got that initial response in an email. And I think there's another guy in Cape Town as well I was chatting to. So I was like, okay, cool. Other people have heard of this email as well, but none of them have heard anything back yet. So, and I've been checking news. I've been checking everything every day. First thing when I wake up, I'm like, oh, okay, let's search if there's any news on WWE trials, But yeah, I haven't heard anything, bro, and I haven't heard anything on the news from anyone else. So I'm hoping that it's still going to happen. I really hope it's still going to happen. I just hope it's not one of those things that it's just going to like blow away, and like it never happened. That'll be sad, I think, not only for me but for everyone who was trying to be involved.
For sure. I mean, when was maybe last year, August time, when Triple H came into the head of WWE, he had a statement probably on some other interview where he was talking about NXT happening in India, NXT happening in a couple places, China, and he said South Africa.
Yes.
So that could be a reason why they've maybe drawn back slightly, and they're looking at that rather for down the line. That could be a thing. What I've heard is that they've postponed it, but they haven't given a new date yet. That's what I've heard. So hopefully all goes right for you and you get your opportunity.
Yeah, man. I mean, that is the dream, right? I mean, we all love wrestling and we love wrestling here, but I mean, I think everyone wants to end up,
Of course.
be it WWE, AEW, whatever. I mean, that's the reason why we started wrestling, is because we used to watch that as kids. So
Of course.
yeah, it's no secret for me. Whenever anyone asks me what's the goal, it's to be in WWE, and I'll say that openly to anyone. Oh, sorry, I'm guilty.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to go into
Yeah.
this without wanting to reach the top at the end of the day. You want to
Yeah,
get to the
yeah.
pinnacle, and of course, WWE, AW, depending on whatever people want, whatever the specific wrestler wants, that's the pinnacle. So it's good that you're shooting for those instead of just being like, I'm happy with what I got, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are happy and are scared to take that risk.
Yeah, and there's this saying that goes, let me be a bit motivational here.
Go for it.
There's this saying, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's if you shoot for the moon. So like the biggest mistake people make is that they aim too low and they hit, instead of people that they aim too high and miss. It's like, rather aim for the moon, and even if you miss the moon, you're still going to end up amongst the stars.
Yeah.
It's cringy.
No, I
but
get you.
I
I get
love
you.
that saying, because I mean, if I'm like, hey, maybe one day I can be a cashier, I'll probably succeed. I'm like, yes, I achieved it. But like, is that really achieving something? Unless it's your dream to be a cashier, then that's cool. But I mean, like, let's say I want to end up in WWE. Let's say I get so close, but I miss. I probably would have had an amazing experience on the way. I've already had an amazing experience on the
Of
way,
course.
so I'm grateful.
They
So,
always
yeah.
say the journey is the best part anyway. So,
Yep.
and that journey
Yep.
hasn't stopped yet. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's wrestling is a bug, and I will never be able to get rid of it. It's like sometimes, like even now, this break I'm taking for this month, I'm like, man, it's like I'm itching. I'm like, got to get back in the ring.
Look,
So yeah,
Alex, I appreciate you coming onto the channel. I mean, we've been trying to get an interview with you for a while now. Not that you've denied anything, but it's just been a clash of whatever. I mean, at the
no,
Wrestle Madness event, we asked you, and you were like stitches and everything, or you needed to go get stitches. So we're
oh
like,
yeah. My bald spot has started to grow back, so all is well.
so I
I
mean,
got 8 staples that day
8. Damn. Well, you were pretty covered in.
because to stitch my head, they wanted to shave this part of my head so they could stitch me. And I was like, there's no chance. I was like, I'll rather leave it open or you can do staples. I can't shave the front of my head. Imagine my hairline starting like over here. Man,
That would have been
that'd be
hilarious.
terrible.
You'd have to have come up with a gimmick of
Yeah.
after that or something like a shave your head match or whatever, hair versus hair match or something after that.
Something like that. Man.
Thanks for joining, Alex. We appreciate it a lot. It'll be awesome to see you at the Arnolds. I mean, everyone come down, get your tickets at the Arnolds. Alex will be there, Lama will be there, Ananzi, Mr. Wrestling, Joshua the Bull, who we're interviewing a little bit later. So come get your tickets to the Arnold. Come see Alex. You're not gonna be disappointed once you see Alex in the ring. Let's be honest. Any final words from
Yep.
you, Alex?
Final words. I just want to say thank you guys so much. I'm honestly like I'm not just saying it, but I'm really a fan of you guys for what you're doing for, like I said earlier, like really what you're doing for South African wrestling. Like I know there's just like in anything in life, there's a lot of politics, especially in life in wrestling, but you guys are really like contributing in a way that is really helping everyone grow, so I respect that a lot. I'm a fan of you guys, so I'm honored to be interviewed, so I appreciate it. So thank you guys as well.
Appreciate those words, Alex.
Being on here.
Appreciate it a lot. And then anyways, guys, see you next time. Peace.